We did the personalization before it was cool.
You did the work of AI, but just manually.
Just manually, yeah. Don't waste your time sending an email or LinkedIn message. They're never going to respond because they somewhere else, like maybe traveling. I suggest, like, if you want to kind of have a conversation with a high-level persona in a, let's say, in a medium-sized or big-level company, call.
Today I have the guest Karolis Zemaitis, Karlo, who is a Lithuanian entrepreneur who focuses on using the data AI to improve the B2B sales. He has been working with a very famous company around here, solar software company PVKs, building a strong pipeline of contributing to the sales, and they raised even 20 million Series A round. And recently he's also been working on GrowTech, the company that helps the startups and other more mature companies to go to market and do the sales in new markets. They have helped over 100 companies over a couple of years. And most recently, he also launched his own product, Closso.ai, the platform that helps to prospect the leads using AI, which is the main topic of this podcast. So would be really interesting to see your insights in this field. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
You witnessed the growth of PVKs. You were one of the founding members there, right? And you reached over 50 countries. It was, it seems, a significant process, right? And maybe you can explain how it was, like how did you join the company, what were your experiences, especially like if you're going to the business development, sales, and maybe even AI, if there was any.
Yeah, PVKs definitely was one of the interesting story of my life currently at the moment. So I started working at PVKs as well as a kind of full-time / part-time because I was a student back then. I had my own ventures of selling shirts on eBay and Amazon, for example. So that's an interesting journey to kind of start in general. Plus I was working in some government institutions, including working with elections many years ago. But yeah, I started as a founding SDR. We initially were hired 4 of us. So we kind of all the time debating who is the 3rd, 4th, 5th, or 6th founding SDR. But it definitely was a very interesting journey because we literally we had no prior experience in the sales in general, especially in the tech space, nor, I'm not even talking about solar industry. So we were hired and we were lucky enough to have very great kind of competitors between ourselves as SDRs. And it was crazy experience. Like we came literally on LinkedIn and just starting using some keywords just to find some relevant companies in general. And it was like very broad horizons how we can look for those companies. And we were like making so many mistakes, but alongside we had amazing kind of mentor and our kind of direct manager, Doug, who happened to be American living here in Lithuania for back then 10 years almost. And basically he was kicking our butts every single day. And
what kind of things he did to motivate sales?
Basically we had to, one time we went to kind of co-working space similar like this, and basically we were like, PVKs back then was like only seed round, 500K. So of course, there were not a lot of sales in general. We were burning some cash because we were paying for developers, for us, for other people in the sales department, and of course some admin people. And basically we had to hit 200% of our KPI in order to stay in an office right now. So people right now would not understand this. Because like the life lately got so good. Back then, 6-7 years ago, it was not so good.
What it means, like if you wouldn't be able to
so for example,
deals?
for example, we had to schedule, let's say, 10 appointments, right, every single month, between all of us, for example, separately, 10 meetings, and then our main motivation, our Doug came, right, and then said, hey guys, if you want to stay in this beautiful office with all the coffee machines, you have to every single one of you, you have to schedule 20 meetings. And I said, okay, challenge accepted. We didn't question about it. So stuff like this, right? So Doug kind of kicked our butts, but knowing that we had no prior experience, so as well, he was doing some trainings for us, so we're really grateful. He made us to, actually, we were selling the idea of PBK's demos back then to Americans without any imperial units. So, because no, in Europe we are on a metric system, in
Yeah.
US it's a bit different metric system, it's imperial units. So back then we didn't, PBK's platform didn't have any kind of proper metric units for that market. So, but we still managed to kind of fight through it, show the software for Americans, and eventually our technical sales managers were able to close it. So it was a crazy journey back then. Long story short, I left the organization back into 2 or 3 years ago almost, and basically right now it's a 300 people organization. I left while it was 200 people after Series B, 100 million euros, which is I'm not sure what's in dollars, but it was a significant amount. And then because they acquired a new company, so but I as well back then I started my own journey.
So listeners might not understand fully, like what actually what are you selling? What is the PVKs in general like?
Yeah, so PVK is a software engineering software, which is a plugin or an extension for an AutoCAD, like as
AutoCAD extension.
Yeah. So it's kind of like Google Chrome extension, right? So that's very similar, and basically PVKs does help solar engineers, PV design engineers, to help to kind of design projects faster, which back then it was only for the ground mount projects, which is utility scale projects, which starts from, let's say, 10 million or as a kind of investment. And basically we're working mainly with EPC companies or development companies. So engineering, procurement, construction companies that are kind of designing, building, and owning those kind of big assets, and then selling electricity to the government, municipalities, or any other businesses, for example. So it's kind of really, I would say, 80% of the businesses were coming from like enterprise level accounts, and 20% I would say it was coming from small to medium-sized companies that could be consulting engineering agencies, for example. And that was the primarily.
And how long is the sales cycle? I assume like years, right?
A lot of people are assuming this, but actually it wasn't, because the product was so strong. The market was very kind of old-fashioned, underserved. So we had some competition. They made their own mistakes as well back then.
What kind of mistakes?
They were literally in their website. They were listing every single their customer. So we were just bombarding. We just like went crazy. We went after every single, like basically we had like a VIP list of every single that account. We had a bounty kind of prize if we schedule a meeting or we close that kind of client. So it's kind of a extra celebration. Now you can feel the blood, because in the sales you need this kind of a little bit of the chaos. You need a little bit of the charisma. You need kind of some sense of the blood that you kind of kicking your competition. But the market was very underserved. So our sales cycle, I would say, was could be from literally 30 days to a month. A year, more or less.
You also made it a little bit too simple. I think when I read about PV case, it was is like much more than just plugging into AutoCAD, right? It's like a whole stack of software that is in the whole process of designing the solar park, right? And even operating, right?
Operating not so much, but it does help. It does have 3 main products, which is PVK's Prospect, PVK's Ground Mount, PVK's Roof Mount. So the last two, Ground Mount and Roof Mount, so obviously it's the explanation is encrypted. So for projects that are on the ground or on the roof mount, commercial buildings, for example, business centers, kind of manufacturing sites, stuff like that. For prospects, so basically if you need some help assessing where you're looking for a land to kind of purchase initially, right? Because you cannot make a mistake that you bought a land and eventually it turns out that it's a swamp, for example, right? Or there's no chance that you can connect to the grid, for example. So you need some sophisticated tools in order to check eliminate the factor of kind of the risk that you don't want to kind of spend 100 million on the project, which eventually after 10 years you'll have to dismantle, right? So PVK's prospect does kind of minimize the risk of this kind of mistakes. So, and of course, if you kind of want to get the best yield from your project, from the site that you're building eventually, so it's very highly recommended, to use the entire suite in order to eliminate the risk factor, then avoid mistakes, designing mistakes or engineering mistakes, because every single element, 1 or 2%, actually make a difference in bill of materials, for example, while you're purchasing gazillion amount of bolts, nuts, cables, right? Cables are counting in kilometers, if not hundreds. So naturally, 1% or 2% actually makes a big impact. So you don't want to kind of make this kind of mistakes, and eventually, right, all this yields to better yield, better kind of outcome of electricity generation in general.
But over the years, you probably accumulated a good amount of knowledge of the field, right? So what I have seen recently in the Baltics is that these solar parks like popping up like mushrooms after the rain. Like it's at least in Latvia, they have like just 2 years ago, just in this small country, 300 megawatts. Now they have 600. It's like if you drive around the highway, there's like 1, 2 everywhere, right? So do you know any myths on building these solar parks, right?
Actually, so building a site, just standalone site, it does not make them profitable in general, right? Because eventually businesses are building those sites, right? So you have to take into account every single element. Of course, you have to take into account the weather, right? The temperatures and how, especially here in the Baltics, we have very interesting weather lately with all the climate change and all that. It does actually make a big impact. So naturally, over the globe, we have to build more and more such sites in order to become independent as well, but as well to eliminate the climate change factor. Another thing that is kind of myth. So of course, there are a lot of subsidies. So we have to, every single government is pouring a lot of money into those kind of sites in order to kind of become independent. Of course, depending on the region, because of I don't know, war risk, or for example in let's say in more West Central Europe, like France or Spain. So of course, like those kind of sites, buildings, they become more profitable in general. So, but as well, there's one element about the site in general, which is kind of you have to build it, but as well there are a lot of investments going into the grid, right? So lately there's another trend, kind of that you can produce so much energy, but where you're going to store it, because the consumption is not on that end, for example. So there's another angle that where you kind of keeping the electricity that you generated, but you cannot use it, right? So there's another angle of battery energy systems.
PV case works also on the batteries as well, or not really?
Currently, as far as I know, no, but we'll see. I think that there's another future that's as well on the battery energy systems. I see more people, more companies in general, especially bigger ones, leading ones, they're kind of entering that kind of space. It's called BECC, Battery Energy Storage Systems, right? So where you're storing the energy. But as well, after 10 to 15 years, there'll be another opportunity for players in the solar industry of the recycling solar parks, because everything has a lifespan. Yeah, I mean, you'll have to...
What is the lifespan of the typical...
30 years on average. As like nobody
knows.
Of course, there are some done studies. I'm not 100%, but back then we were counting approximately 25 to 30 years. It's a productive span of the project, because technology is evolving, right? We can actually see that the AI is rapidly skyrocketing right now. So the solar is going the same, right? So Chinese market is one of the main markets, and they pouring a lot of money into technology to make solar panels more effective as well. They're creating manufacturing, let's say, super duper cables in order to eliminate electricity losses over the cables as well, because of the different weather.
Yes. By the way, there's some of these things are also unpredictable, because, like, for example, I did a little bit of research in terms of wind farms. Basically, I had also using AI, I had to do some a kind of review of the situation in some of Baltic countries. And what I discovered, it's surprising for me, it was that, like, let's say, 10 years ago, they had also some estimations of the wind turbines, how long they will serve. And now it is at this stage, at least in my numbers, that the best thing would be to demolish the wind farms that were built, let's say, 10 years ago. They are like literally at least 10 times less efficient. And they take space. So it could happen with solar as well, probably, right?
And it's happening, right? So the projects that were built 10, 15 years ago, because the technology is relatively old, it's happening right now. So it's literally worth kind of demolishing the entire site, like kind of write off 5, 10 million investment back then and build a new one, because you can compensate the potential losses in the future as well.
It's so crazy, right? Like we build like huge kind of projects, and then just because of the technology.
It's happening everywhere. Yeah, it's happening everywhere amongst all the sectors right now.
Looking back at the time, right? Maybe what are the main key takeaways, and maybe is there something even you wish AI would exist at the time when you worked? How would you use it, especially if you want to access these enterprises, right? And this kind of B2B sales cycle.
That's an interesting angle, actually. So back then, of course, we have limitations in our own knowledge, because we were like students, right? So like nearly finishing the university bachelor's. Back then, our ICP was pretty complex. We were looking for companies that they're like technical, they kind of developing those kind of projects as well. For us, it's really important. So what kind of projects are they developing? What kind of projects are they building? Do they have engineering departments? So back then, there was not so much like sophisticated technology as it is right now. So we literally had to spend enormous amount of hours to make a research about every single company. So naturally, we were going to every single website and checking for information that actually matters for us, because static filters that do exist till these days were not working for us, except, let's say, employee size or just an industry. But industry does not tell, for example, the description, the accurate description of the company. So we're like manually qualifying, looking for information in the website, taking into account the entire context about the company that is written about them, for example. And then we were making kind of manual judgments.
Guesswork, yeah.
Yeah, and there was.
Guesstimate.
Yeah, more or less. And then we did a pretty good job in qualifying those companies, and then naturally we kind of eliminated the factor of reaching out to thousands of companies every single day, every single month. We were reaching out to very top ones that actually helped us to kind of streamline the precise targeted outreach for us. And then our reply rates, open rates were pretty high back then.
Did you send email, yeah? Or?
Yeah, we did everything. So we were relying more on the email and on the LinkedIn.
What were the open rates back then?
Back then we were, I would say like 60 to 70%.
Whoa.
which is fine. And then our reply rates, I would say like 25%.
So was it because of the great targeting, or because it was not that competition?
I would say so, because naturally, if you're qualifying those kind of companies manually, so you own the pipeline, you own the potential clients list, right? And you know everything about them. What kind of projects they're into, what kind of services do they provide, and then of course like you kind of take into account those kind of small elements, and then you kind of tailor your pitch in general. So naturally, back then we were using some templates, but as well those templates were modified a lot, meaning we were including in a part of the variable some snippets from the website about their latest project, for example. So back then we did the personalization before it was cool.
You did the work of AI, but just manually.
Just manually, yeah. Good or for worse, it's another discussion. But we tried, and I think that as well back then those kind of companies in general.
Were there any kind of more secret sauce that you discovered the way how to better target?
Well, we spent a lot of money, and I think that we wasted a lot of money at the same time. We were buying the most sophisticated databases that we spent gazillion amount of money.
Do they work?
No, no. I mean, basic Google search, typing in the keywords, solar, PV, EPC, top EPC companies in the US, in Alabama, stuff like that, work the best, because you know what you're looking for. So there were no like
No
some
silver
magical
bullet, yeah.
pills. Yeah, I mean it was like purely hard labor, a lot of hours put into, and we were like, there are no automations, there was no AI, just like your CRM, your Salesforce, and that's it. And then you kind of adding those kind of companies manually by yourself with your bare hands, spending a lot of time to create an account, to add a contact in it, right? Qualifying, adding some personalization in as a variable in that CRM as well
Do you
as a
use
field.
any some kind of sophisticated strategies where you like first try to validate the lead out from outside, from let's say some connections or something of that sort? Or
No, no, I
it's
would say
quite
no.
simple,
It
yeah.
was very straightforward and that simple, I would say. So it's there was again no. Back then, we were not even using some email automation platform in order to send automatically those emails for the first 2 years, I would say. So right now, like it will show you like this, right?
Yeah.
So back then, but then afterwards, we were integrated some automations in order to help ourselves to make our jobs more sophisticated, achieving better results with automations as well. But it was way before all the AI boom, I would say.
From one side, I think like as myself also, and most of us who are starting the kind of business ventures before the age of AI, we have a little bit maybe of advantage of like leveraging the knowledge that and experience that we had. Like if you imagine the new sales guy comes in, like is he might quite a lot rely on the AI tools.
Maybe
And
too much, yeah.
yeah, too much, right? And at some point, it might backfire. We don't know actually. Or you know, you actually run quite a large sales team in growth tech, right?
Yeah, we actually a team of 20 right now. Before the AI, we were almost a team of 50 actually. So we almost died a couple of times already because of way too high employee headcount.
Very interesting.
So we had those kind of our moments as well, where we're thinking like how we have to pay the salaries right now. So we had those kind of moments, which is not I recommend it.
How did you grow so fast to that headcount?
We did not grow so fast. I think it was just gradually. Every single quarter, we were adding more and more people. Of course, 50 people were not all of them were full-timers. We had some part-timers too. But I think that we overhired at some point because we were relying on way too much manual labor on with human beings, but not so much on the technology. So I think that we overslept the very beginning of it. And I see some companies are still doing this mistake too, right? So they're oversleeping on, and ignoring the
Yeah.
technology, they ignoring the AI too, and if not now, in the future, it will be a big problem for them. So we kind of hired too many people, relying on not on innovating the process, but just adding more people, hands-on people, and solving the kind of the problem like this. But then naturally, our burn skyrocketed too. And then a series of events happened, and then we had to say, okay, what are we doing right now? And then we had to pivot, kind of, unfortunately, from people's perspective, let people go. And then we had to kind of go back to drawing board and then, okay, what we can actually do. So we kind of created, we bought other technology tools, powered with AI or some without AI, for example, just to kind of speed up processes in general for company qualification, for people selection, right, in our way, how we need to do and run things operationally in our company. And then we achieved at some point the same outcomes with fewer people, but the same outcomes are the best ROI that we actually achieved still
Well,
to this day.
that sounds really fascinating. In sense, I would like to talk about also to see how to change from this fully manual labor situation into some of the automations and some of these processes. But maybe tell listeners like what is GrowTech and how do you work? What is your process?
Yeah, so basically, GrowTech is a B2B lead generation agency that helps with kind of establishing your routes from your domestic market to our foreign markets. So primarily, we are working, helping companies to get customers from USA, UK, and of course Europe. We sometimes help with as well North Africa, Middle East a little bit, Singapore, Malaysia, stuff countries like this. So that's what we help with, and we helping that by offering kind of a service for cold emailing, LinkedIn, and cold calls, of course. So that's what we do primarily, and then yeah, we're working domestically with very well-known startups or companies as well. We're working with the Israeli top-notch companies as well.
Do you have any cool use cases, like the case studies where you managed to deploy some of these companies from one market to another?
I would say so, yeah. Monday.com was our
Monday.com. Cool.
Monday.com. Everyone knows about them, right? So we help them to kind of open up their operations in United States and Canada. So the Israeli company, but as well we were working with some people from Madrid or any other place in Toronto as well. And then we were scheduling appointments for them to kind of close more deals, to kind of get more customers from them, like more enterprise, because Monday.com is they have a lot of customers from like smaller startup level companies, but they as well wanted to have more customers from big accounts, enterprise level accounts. So that's what we were primarily doing. And then if we're talking about quantities, they were like not big numbers in general, but they were significant ones if we schedule a kind of a good meeting with, let's say,
Yeah, I was wondering, like,
bars, stuff like that.
is this your way of building these networks, or is it, as you said, some cold calls, cold outreach? Because, like, I would assume, especially like you're approaching a little bit larger B2B enterprises,
Yeah.
it is not that simple than just calling the front desk, right?
Yeah. I mean, some people are underestimating call calls lately, especially with all the technology and AI development. We can see that, and I think that's for a reason, because it's big. Emails, automating email and automating LinkedIn is becoming more and more accessible. It's becoming more and more cheaper. One of the cheapest channels. They are, but
Effectiveness.
yeah, you have to ask a question: how effective is it nowadays? And nowadays, since everybody started doing, people that were able to call, they are no longer calling, for example. So we took the opposite direction. We doubled down on a call calling, and we see that we can call right now at one of the biggest, let's say, companies in the world, VP, director level, happen to be next to the leadership, and you just call them, and that's fine, and they
How
can
often
answer
they actually pick up the phone?
surprisingly well. I mean, in the US market, everyone is complaining that, oh, the answer rates are terrible. Yeah, I mean, if if you're not doing your own research, you're not pre-selecting companies, you're not precisely targeting people, then of course answer rates will be terrible. But if you're doing your homework before actually reaching out, because 80% of the kind of reply rates rely on the homework that you did. For example, qualifying the company, selecting a persona in the organizational structure, right? Because the C-level executive in a startup and C-level executive in the enterprise level is totally two different ball games, right? So you have to do your homework. So I think that cold calls are one of the best channels. People are disobeying that.
Because it's
scary.
It's much harder as well.
It's much harder. I mean, you
Yeah.
have to pour tears, sweat into that. You have to as well kind of, you have to be psychologically stable, right? So you have to be mentally well.
Totally no.
It takes time.
Yes, I totally agree that this is, I think, some new frontier that came from the past. That right now the email opening rates, I don't know, how is it, like 3%, even less?
I don't know. We're not tracking for like
Yeah.
almost 2 years, so
Yeah.
we're not
So
tracking
it is
that.
it is really low, but
Could be.
but with if you, as you say, good targeting for calls, that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that calls, I mean, they're like one of the best channels. I mean, not sure about you, but like we can call, again, top-notch companies to good persona, and then they will answer, because there's so much noise in their inboxes, including mine's, and nobody's actually picking up the phone and make a call. I mean, that's ridiculously how crazy is that. I remember one of our competitors actually here in Lithuania, because I went through their trainings, ironically, then afterwards I became their competitors. So they told me, it's the kind of, guys, like smile and dial. I mean, use your voice as your kind of, money-making machine. Lately, people are afraid to make calls. That's another thing that I'm not sure what's going to happen with another generation,
Yeah.
like Gen Z. We'll see. But right now, I'm purposely hiring people more with that kind of skill to able to make calls, to sit comfortable on calls, to handle objections. Everything else can be taught. While other companies are hiring mostly people can be like looking for a jack of all trades, like unicorns, like GTM engineers working with Clay, other databases,
Sure.
stuff like that, scraping, da 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 da. But eventually, then reply rates can be very terrible.
What is this going to that transformation that you mentioned? What is right now your AI kind of tools and stacks that so what is the process that you changed from the manual now to more technologically aligned?
Yeah, so from our process standpoint, we had multiple people in the same department. We have, let's say, lead research specialists that were qualifying companies. We had lead research specialists that were adding contacts for qualified companies. And then we had quality assurance people. It's like a manufacturing line, right? So we kind of replaced all three roles with technology and AI. Because we saw that people, once you hit a threshold of, let's say, 30, 40 people, and if you kind of putting a pressure on people and because they are not hitting their targets, then naturally they will find for some ways to actually cheat the game. Ironically, for example, that they can actually select some companies that are like questionable from the ICP standpoint, right? So you can check that they are matching all the ICP criteria, but the website is terrible. They're never going to buy, right? And sometimes people they sometimes, like, human beings are selfish human beings, right? And they'll look for ways how to cheat the game. So with technology, we solve that. So we no longer need quality assurance people because we don't have a problem, first of all. So we rely on technology and artificial intelligence that is built by us, owned by us, and everything. And then we know if something is off with the output. For example, we know that something with the AI is off, right? So you have to kind of check, you have to feed more information, to give more context, give more guidelines for the AI in order to get better and better outcomes eventually.
How you build your own automations and what they solve?
Yeah, so if you're talking about recent, let's say this year, for example, so we discovered a tool which is competing against Lovable, Cursor, tools like this. So I have started using Base44 maybe 3 or 4 months ago at the very beginning of their journey. I never, because I was scrolling through the LinkedIn, I saw some sort of post because we are very into Israel tech ecosystem. Naturally, have a lot of connections in that space, and then I saw that some Israelis were sharing about this kind of tool. So I kind of discovered, and then they kind of hooked me up with a kind of start a free trial with just creating your app, and just like you just select what kind of app you want to create. I selected, for example, like a task management software, and I said, boom, all my problems were gone because sometimes like those static tools that exist in the market, they more or less missing some features based on your kind of unique approach, how you kind of working in general, right? And that triggers me from the CRM standpoint, task management standpoint, time management, reporting tools, you name it, right?
You're saying you're replacing like off-the-shelf solutions with some you can build yourself?
Yeah, I can confidently say that we replace already some CRM tools and some automation tools directly with Base44. We're spending 50 euros a month for the subscription, which is kind of message based subscription in general. And then you code everything. So we have a CRM tool, which is a replacement for HubSpot, for Salesforce. We have task management in the same place.
Well, what are some differences you yourself changed so that your tool is in your perspective better than?
So
than
if you
off-the-shelf?
have one single platform that the entire company is there, so you're avoiding kind of mishaps, miscommunications, silos inside the company, right? And then especially if you want to make the automations work for you, but not you for them, so if you have fewer tools, fewer kind of frictions, you can achieve better results. So that's what we are moving this kind of direction, that we want to centralize everything, because we had scattered tools, scattered data. Right now we own one tool, everything is there, all the data is there.
You're saying base 42, the platform, right? And then you're saying you replaced already some CRM aspects, some what other aspects, and how is it like feeding to the, I don't know, Google Sheet
No,
or
everything is there.
okay, it's
Everything is integrated. So you literally tell the software what kind of functionality you're looking for. The more specific, the more precise of the task, the better outcomes will be, right? So from the color standpoint to functionalities, but as well you can replace make.com NA10, for example, with inside automations, right? So you don't need to rely on those kind of, because you have all the automations running in base 44, for example.
okay. And what exactly, like again, what is the kind of features that you were missing apart only one platform?
Yeah.
I hear that is good, but
Yeah.
what
For
other,
example, like
yeah.
you received, for example, as an agency, it's very, very important that we promote in the company that if you received a response, you have to respond timely, right? No matter what you're doing, where you are, you have to respond timely in under 5 minutes. That's I was taught by my manager, Doug, back from PBK's times. So, for example, and then the people, for example, they're calling or they're doing something else, they're having lunch, so naturally you have to put some sort of notifications, right? So naturally, that triggers goes to base 44, and then we trigger the shit out of the Slack, everything picked separately, an SDR that needs to be handled, and that's like a prompt kind of, and then you just SDR takes an action immediately. Then there's another series of tasks, for example, that if you, that's a positive reply, for example, right? So you want to create a series of tasks because people are human beings and making mistakes. So you want to kind of enable them to not forget things. So for example, we have an automations running that if there's a positive response, we automatically creates a series of tasks, let's say 10 follow-ups in front, for example. It creates 10 tasks in the CRM, for example. Then we have another tool, we have a task management for non-job related things in general. For example, I don't know, just review the content, not leads related, for example. Then we have Notion inside the app itself. Then we're going to have HR systems, applicant tracking systems in one single place. Then as well, you can prevent, let's say, burnout, morale. As well, there are like certain tools in the market, but as well you can vibe code it into your system in order to kind of check and monitor your SDR morale if you're going towards the burnout, for example, right? Because naturally, if that correlates with if the person is starting to burn out, the performance will drop. So naturally, you can prevent that. You can let a person go for their vacation, stuff like that. It's just you can just it's a matter of imagination.
You're designing all these processes, right? It's like previously, I don't know, like you had to design the process on paper and teach how to do things. Now, kind of you can, as you say, implement it in the platform and automate it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. There's my partner as well that is doing the same thing, but as well it's my passion. I think that it's very fun to actually make things work, because as I mentioned previously, it's something that's nerve-wracking if you want to use the feature, you want to use the tool, but it does not have that kind of tick, right? So I mean, with this, with vibe coding, you just creating a bridge for yourself. You're avoiding the issue, for example. So
maybe if any listeners don't know exactly how this vibe coding works, maybe you can explain a little bit. Like if I want to set up some kind of, as you say, specialized CRM, how would you do that?
yeah, so it's kind of like chatting with a ChatGPT in a simple version. You just like chatting with your own natural language, with your own sentences, with the words in general, and you tell what you want to achieve, right? So you just like create me a task management software according to the best practice that is similar to HubSpot, for example, right? And it will create you very similar like this, and then you can actually give a little bit more guidance for it. I want to create a series of tasks 5 times, for example. I want to create a button that is blue, for example. And then you just literally chat with artificial intelligence with the tool, and then you make
Makes
things.
tool for you.
Yeah, tool makes a tool for you, just for your specialized requirements, your needs.
Translates your natural language into this usable system.
Yeah, and then you can integrate with other like tools like, I don't know, Google Calendar, Gmail, HubSpot as well, if you want to have it, those kind of legacy systems. Other platforms, I mean, Slack, we have integration with Slack, so we have automations, bi-directional sync. As well, it does help with the project management from our standpoint.
Well, how it helps with project management?
I mean, just not to forget things. I mean, for example, that you start onboarding a client, you have to purchase domains, you have to purchase mailboxes, right? So you have to inform the client. And that kind of communication, practical communication, actually was our, I'm not still satisfied till this day. It's a work in progress. But artificial intelligence does help with the proactive communication to your customers, just to kind of let them know that, hey, we are under control, we are like working, just to let you know, hey, this is what we did, these are domains, these are mailboxes, these are the leads, this is the content.
Really interesting, this pipeline. So basically you have all of these AI generated tools and AI control tools, which is great. I think that you're actively working on that field, and then you also have completely opposite the kind of human raw skill in the like the cold calls, at least especially if you're calling like some C-level or some higher level people, you would not probably want to risk it with robocalls or something. So which parts of the sales pipeline do you see like the most automatable, and which are kind of still for the foreseeable time?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think that everyone, especially the LinkedIn audience, is like debating what needs to be automated next.
Yeah.
I think that manually done things can be automated, such as research or personalization, or the kind of getting the information for the personalization. I think that still, in order to create a personalization, let's say for the email, you have to as well put some soul in the email, because I think that people can still, by reading, can understand if it is, even if it's amazingly personalized. I think that still people are not dumb, and human beings are able to kind of understand if it's written by a human being or it was written with the AI, for example.
Well, also, I think it's kind of a little bit of problem that even if the AI, which statistically actually can generate content which is indistinguishable from human in many times, but then if I have a situation, I open LinkedIn, like literally 10, 20 personalized personalized messages, good personalized messages, but from people I don't know. So
yeah, as well, people that are using AI needs to understand their audience, right? So where the audience is sitting, what are the habits and stuff like that. So, for example, if you kind of over-engineering, the over-engineering that you're targeting sales, marketing people, so yeah, you can apply the kind of sophisticated technology for the artificial intelligence, for example, and then you can just like personalize on a very, very deep, high level, for example, which is sometimes can look cringe. But if you would try doing that for more technical audience, they would not understand this, right? They would not understand it. So then templates are back in the game. Like, ironically, if you like it or you don't like it, technical audience, that's what we observed. They are not necessarily required to have those emails to be answered personalization. Yeah, because they're like a technical people. They don't really care that you read about I don't know, some sort of a company news. They don't really care about that. Or you read something that they posted that they were, I don't know, on some sort of conference or a trade show. They don't really care. I mean, if you do think that smartly, that you take that snapshot and then you connect with what you want to offer and then connect, then it makes sense. But then it has to be
very interesting observation. I agree. Like I myself, maybe so some listeners might know I'm also the associate professor. We work with AI research for 10 plus years, and for me, probably also it's kind of more in that direction. Like it's a little bit annoying that these generated, like I saw you in the conference.
It's cringe.
So it's if I see just this is the solution, maybe it even works better.
Yeah, I mean, everyone started personalizing and sending a bunch of emails over email and over LinkedIn, for example, fully AI powered, right? So they're not even putting 5 minutes to double check what they're sending to or what kind of audience they're sending. And then naturally you're making your audience or somebody else that makes a very bad job, makes your audience kind of dumb. They really kind of being they're ignoring all the emails for a reason naturally, and then you kind of see all the patterns that is like
There is a pattern.
personalized.
Yeah, like personalization
Yeah,
pattern.
I saw that you this and that. I saw that you're eating at McDonald's.
Yeah.
So, those kind of things. I'm just exaggerating in general, but
Yeah.
then people, they want simplicity. They want to receive an email, because eventually they will read it anyways. What's in it for them? That's it. That's simple. And then if you manage to communicate your value in the top 2-3 sentences, job is finished. But first of all, you have to make a research. You have to make a research about your prospect, and then eventually shoot out an email.
From your experience, is it like that? The more senior level, the more condensed information, less actually personalized, or is it depending on the personality or?
Depends on multiple factors. So of course, if you're reaching out to construction companies, VP or director level personas, so naturally, don't waste your time sending an email or LinkedIn message. They're never going to respond because they somewhere else, like maybe traveling. I suggest, like, if you want to kind of have a conversation with a high level persona in a, let's say, in a medium sized or big level company, call. That's simple.
And in the call, probably you would not talk about seeing you in the conference or.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like just explain why you're calling, and that's it. And then, for example, because I received myself 10, 20 emails.
What do you do if somebody actually like calls you, for example, and tries to?
All the tools that actually call me, actually, I did convert into paying customer. For example, AirCall, we as an agency used AirCall.
AirCall called you?
I think so. Yeah, it was a call. I remember that a woman from Berlin called me. Yeah, I turned a customer for them back then, like 2 or 3 years ago. And then Adversus from, I guess, Finnish companies, Finnish startup, actually called me. They were chasing me for not on the email, not on the LinkedIn.
How they did it? Like, is it also like very, very clear what they do?
Persistence on call.
Okay.
Persistence on call.
Okay, so the persistence call, but the contents, is it like just clear value proposition or?
Yeah, they told me, hey, we are better than this and that. Can we jump on a demo? So that's it. And they were like calling me like crazy. They were not bombarding me with emails on LinkedIn. They just like persistently call me like once a quarter, and then eventually, okay, it's time for talk. And that's it. They did not evaluate any other solutions.
But it's also interesting. Like, I think junior salespeople, at least from like seeing all these calls massively, that maybe they don't realize that even if somebody is busy, says no, that doesn't mean that it is absolutely no. You keep persistent, right?
Yeah, I mean, emails and LinkedIn just creates a noise. Unfortunately, we like it or we don't like it. That's the game of the rules. I think calling is the best you can actually do in order to increase your chances as an SDR or the full cycle AE or just a company owner. Just call other people and have a conversation and book that meeting.
What about even more outside of the technological side? Like I think you mentioned at some point like going to the conferences and things of that sort. Is that coming back as well? Like in person?
100%. For this we created a specialized service for it, just like on our website, because we see that there is a big demand because companies are going back for the events. I think that companies underestimating. Just site visits, just like, okay, you can schedule a lot of meetings. You don't need a lot, but you just need to have some sort of amount of meetings. Just pre-schedule some meetings and then go from door to door to the offices, for example, right? So, and that's it.
Even going to the...
Yeah, that's what we're doing ourselves. Like, yeah,
we're sending people to the target market.
We say like, hey, we'll be going to be in this this city, in this particular city. In this particular time, can we meet? Can we come to an office? And then it immediately stands out because you're standing out from from all the different vendors. So the vast majority of our customers became either from inbound, ironically, as a outbound agency, or face-to-face meetings from all around the place.
That's your service, I understand. And seems great, all the things you do. But then for your customers, you also do these like in their name, these
Yeah,
in-person meetings,
yeah.
and how this would work. I understand if you get the right telephone number, do the research call, right? But how would you get face-to-face meetings?
No, so we tell this, hey, we can help you to set up, let's say, 10 or 15 meetings in advance in Berlin, right? So then we kind of, we agreed on the ACP, and then we do the outreach. We target, let's say, top VIP accounts, and we agree with the customer, okay, so this is like 100 companies or 200 companies that we're going to target. If we would secure a meeting, would you go for it? And then we agree or disagree, and that's it. And then we have like a finalized list, and then we target those companies, and we're trying to, over a month or 2 months, to secure meetings in advance. And then we pre-schedule those meetings, and if we reached our goal, then our customer is buying all the, let's say, plane tickets, hotel accommodation, all that,
Cool.
and then they're going, not
For every single.
after. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's it. We helped. Be at a company in Boston as well, in one of the conferences. That was a conference, but as well we help in Switzerland to secure meetings in advance without any conference, for example. And then it can actually stand out. And then buyers, eventually your prospects, are appreciating because that's something new. Nobody is coming to your office nowadays. So if you can call or send an email or send a LinkedIn message and tell, hey, we are going to be in your city this particular time frame. Are you in town? Let's have a quick lunch, or can I come to your office? And that's it. And then it's like not knocking door to door, but similar.
So AI is working on one front where you automate everything, and then there's this other side which is basically limited attention span for everyone, right? And then you need to compete, and you need to be innovative, how to find a way to in the attention span.
Yeah, I think that old-fashioned methods are coming back in the game because eventually buyers are dictating the rules, and I think that that's what they eventually want, not sophisticated email or LinkedIn messages, just that simple approach, because we all eventually simple human beings, no matter if you're like a VP of Apple or Amazon. Eventually you want to kind of simplicity, you want to understand how you as a vendor can help them, and that's it. And then of course, then it's under your control how to handle conversation, how to handle objections, how to kind of position the product that you're better than competitors, you're better than your current solution. That's your job, right? That comes from the leadership that you're working for. And that's it. And then I think that you have pretty good chances of securing a meeting. And then what happens afterwards, it's just as well, there's not everything that you can control, right? There are like budget restraints, there's like micro, macro economics that
you've been
nobody's
on
talking.
that side as well with PV. And,
we rose as well a pretty good wave where there was like a lot of capital, venture capital money was just like we're given left and right. There were like everyone was living in a chocolate. Then some economical restraints came that happened, but I mean, the only ones that adapt survive.
That sounds excellent. But then towards the end, really want to talk also about your product you're building, Closso.ai. So as I understand, it should be. So you have this closed testing period that will be also available, hopefully at some point to the general public. This is AI. So this is where it fits in your methodology. Like if this is AI and what it does.
It's more or less in the research. So you literally can come with empty-handed with just a single website, and then we'll spit out you hundreds of similar companies that you're looking for. The more kind of technical company, the better the outcome will be. Then you can ask very deep questions about the company. For example, do they have a newsletter? Does their newsletter have more than 5,000 subscribers? Maybe that's your qualifier, right? You don't want to qualify based on the static filters. So we literally fit into kind of research mode, and eventually we want to have some sort of control in the communication, giving a user guidance how to approach this kind of company based on what you already know, what kind of questions you ask, for example. Because if you qualify the company, right, in very deep level, but you're using fixed template, you're losing all the progress that you did and eventually paid, right? So we want to guide the customer actually to communicate better their value, why they're reaching out, to create relevance for the user, that you kind of
So
look a bit
you
different.
just not enter your criteria. The system guides you to design better criteria, right?
Yeah, more or less as well. We want to enter as well the calling phase is to generate key talking points, for example, right? Meaning that
How it's different than if I would run, let's say, Gemini deep research or OpenAI deep research with some my own criteria, or is it the same?
more or less it's the same, but on a scale, right? So if you want to do that on, let's say, requalify the entire CRM,
I need like hundreds of
yeah,
tabs.
plus no, it's the solution. It's kind of created for this solely for purple, just focus, right, for this particular element. Gemini, Perplexity, ChatGPT can do similar approach, but in a lower scale in general. Plus, it will be not as sophisticated because what we have as well built-in lead database, email enrichment, mobile enrichment as well. It will generate you as well key talking points, how to approach the conversation with this particular person, for example. So it's not just like company research, deep research, but as well as we will give you the right person to talk to with mobile number, with not all
I
the time.
assume you're using yourself, it right, in your market development, right?
Yeah.
And how it how well it works. Like, what are some things where AI kind of struggles, or everything works great?
Sometimes as well, AI wants to kind of make things true, which actually it's false or 50-50. So you have to control a little bit. So you cannot just completely rely on it. But we getting there. I think that everyone is getting there. All the tools that in the market with some sort of empowerment with AI, they're struggling with the accuracy and consistency. So it's pretty good when it comes to kind of global scale, but if you want to very precisely, so it will take some time to kind of develop this. But the more feedback you provide to your to the product back, so then you can actually expect better outcomes, I believe. So
Yeah, cool. I think it's the same problem with the AI-enabled data enrichment tools. Like if you have same company name, similar region, or something like that, they struggle. They sometimes merge together things.
plus all the tools right now, they're like the market is so saturated right now. I think that my 2 cents here that eventually buyers, as I mentioned before, they dictating the rules. And I think that since the market is so saturated, I think that the market will eventually shrink. A lot of bad apples will be die because it's people, buyers will not choose them. I think that it's going to be some sort of consolidation in the market in order that there's like one platform that does this from the very beginning till the very end of it, right? So I think that the market is shifting towards this kind of direction, especially in the sales tech. Sales tech is
But you said you were encouraging people to kind of build your own kind of tools with using these vibe coding platforms. So would you see that basically the sales tools converge to that state where everybody is just vibe coding their own directions, or
good luck for them. I don't believe that it can be everything built by yourself because as well there's like some knowledge gap.
and also the scale, but the same what you said about the Closso.ai. So basically, you could do some things on your own, right? But then, as again, going back to my call center software, like if I have literally some clients that do 10,000 calls a day, like hundreds of people of teams, right? And they do B2C sales, not B2B. And then, if you vibe code analytics for that, good luck paying
Good luck.
bill for that.
Yeah,
So-
exactly. That's what I'm saying. I mean, there are like specialized tools that are amazing, and you can just like totally rely. Of course, it's going to be a little bit more expensive, but unless you're not reinventing the wheel, plus if you're paying X amount of money for this particular tool, most likely it's still going to be innovating the tool, more features, more functionality, so you can focus on your core product rather than focusing on building product or products that are servicing your product or solution, right? So I think that there are certain tools that They're like amazing right now. They're gold standards in the market, in the sales stack. And then you can just like plug in, integrate them into your own ecosystem that you built or vibe coded,
Yeah,
for
some
example.
parts you control, right, which are very driven on your own intellectual
Yes.
property, and then there are some scale.
Yeah, yeah, of course. So that's what we're doing ourselves. Like we're not building and reinventing every single tool, right? So if there's a, let's say, some sort of, say, CRM. I mean, CRMs are that simple. It serves only a couple of functionalities, right? So it's you can easily replace, for example, or like HR system, right? So you can just create those kind of, but for example, that does create personalization or does create some sort of email copies at scale, for example. That's what we're doing ourselves with using other tool. They can outperform the tool that you would build yourself. So why you have to take this kind of risk? Or I would rather pay some money and buy top-notch tool rather than reinventing the wheel, wasting my time, and then achieving no results. So I would rather just purchase some existing tools that are irreplaceable for my own, for example, business purpose.
Yeah, but to sum up this segment, I think in the very beginning you said, and I totally agree, that we are still quite in the early stages. There, like even the the go-to-market agency, sales development agencies, they even and not talking about enterprises, they still don't even buy the basic AI automations. So you're a step ahead, but in general, the market is lagging. Yeah.
Yeah, and why enterprise are struggling to adopt, because I think that as well depends on the culture. I heard some companies that are kind of blocking their employees to use certain tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, just to kind of avoid kind of minimize the risk of that some sort of information would get leaked, for example. So they're kind of blocking the entire domain of ChatGPT.com, for example, right? So I heard those kind of stories, but as well, I think everything comes from the leadership, from the culture that you're establishing and you're creating,
And from the competition.
and from the yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I
So
saw some examples.
if your 40 guys can do 80 guys work, then at some point competition.
100%. Right now, we are a team of 20 that can outcompete the agency that runs on 50 people easily if they're running just a basic automations. I mean, if you just put my guys versus them, I think that we have pretty good chances to
I agree.
outcompete them.
Yeah. But so let that be an encouragement for other companies, not only in the sales, but other industries to not be afraid and start working on on these automations. But towards the end, let's do hopefully some fun questions. We'll see if we can make them fun. So, what do you prefer, ChatGPT or coffee?
I'm a coffee maniac, so I will go with the coffee first at the very morning, and then after lunch, ChatGPT. Or Perplexity. I prefer Perplexity, to be honest.
What's your best productivity hack?
Oh, so turning off all the notifications.
Yeah.
So
That's
on
good one.
Slack, I'm all the time offline. All the notifications are turned off. Then my emails are, I leave unread emails up to 10 per day maximum. So I all the time trying to clean. So as well, I do have some maybe undiagnosed ADHD, I guess, for it. And then if the task looks simple, less than 5 minutes, start doing it right now, because otherwise you'll try to procrastinate the things.
Which song or activity ramps you up for the work?
Fort Minor, remember the name.
True or false? More data, more happiness.
Depends how you define happiness. Sometimes you can create sad times, but if
Yeah.
you have a long-term goal, I think it can turn out into the happiness.
Most dramatic way how you celebrate win.
From the old PVK's days, we used to have a gong.
What's the fastest time you from the cold outreach to the closing the deal?
It was a week. Actually, last year I met people, a company in Estonia, and after a week, we closed the deal. We shook hands.
What's the weirdest thing you ever sent to the prospect?
Maybe by mistake sending some sort of a template with
Without filling the wrong
yes, with access, for example, or mistaking a company name or mistaking a name of the person, but actually, if you know how to get out of the situation,
How to get out of that?
you just address, sorry, I messed up. You just like respond to your email, hey, sorry, John, that I made a mistake. Sorry, and people are seeing that it's a genuine that you made a mistake, and they will respond to you, and then you will start a conversation. So all the time, sometimes we as well make, as part of the outreach, we make mistakes. Writing, for example, writing mistakes, mistaking as well currencies, mistaking, flipping the letters in a word, just to make sometimes emails or LinkedIn messages more genuine.
Yeah, that sounds.
Especially in the AI phase where everything looks polished.
Yes.
And sometimes it's a bit unnatural in my case.
Agree on that. So it's a great note to end. Super interesting talk with you. Hopefully, where people can find you.
Oh, they can find me on LinkedIn most of the time. So it's it's Growtech or Karolis Zemaitis, or just go into our website, growtech.co, and that's it.
Excellent. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for the listening. As gratitude, subscribe, share, and see you in the next one.